Hello la team, c'est Tintinpanda, j'espère que vous allez bien. Aujourd'hui on se retrouve pour la suite des aventures de Chicken Police sur le jeu Point It Red. Et épisode particulier parce que j'ai tourné pendant 30, allez je dirais 30 minutes et il y a une coupure de courant et mon ordi a sauté. Ce qui veut dire que j'ai perdu tout mon enregistrement, donc j'ai trop les boules. Et un gros défaut de ce jeu là, vous voyez, je peux essayer de charger une partie, mais ça me met à la dernière sauvegarde. En gros, je peux pas retomber sur des sauvegardes intermédiaires. Donc c'est trop chiant. Ah, je peux rien faire. Extra, cinématique, galerie. Vous voyez, je peux rien faire. Donc c'est trop relou. Mais après, il s'est pas passé grand chose de dingue. J'étais juste à l'appartement avec Marty. On a appelé Lewis pour que Marty puisse dormir. On a appelé on a appelé l'asile. Ensuite on a directement pris la direction de l'asile. On est arrivé, ça ressemble vraiment au château de Dracula. Vraiment l'atmosphère est très froide, ça fait un peu flipper. Et en fait, on a parlé à une immense girafe qui est l'infirmière à la réception. Et en fait, elle nous a dit, un peu expliqué ce qui se passait à l'asile, qu'il y avait un certain docteur, je me rappelle plus de son nom, et des infirmières. Et en fait, une autre chose importante par rapport à notre discussion avec la girafe, c'est qu'elle est hyper fan des Chicken Police. Et grâce à ça, on a pu lui tirer une information. C'est-à-dire qu'on lui a montré le bracelet qu'avait le raton laveur. Et en fait, l'identité vient de... Mince, je me rappelle plus de son prénom aussi. Du frère caché de Wessler. Du rat qui était emprisonné à l'asile. Donc c'est lui, c'était son bracelet. Et en plus, suite à ça, elle nous a dit que ce fameux Alex, je me rappelle plus, ou Axel, je sais plus, a disparu depuis quelque temps. Donc en fait, ce qui signifie que le cadavre serait sûrement le frère de Wessler. Sauf s'il y a un gros retournement de situation. Et je pense à ça, peut-être que c'est le raton laveur qui est aux origines des différents meurtres et de Natacha. Voilà. Donc, on va continuer l'aventure. Et en fait, vous allez voir, on va directement rentrer dans le bureau du docteur psychiatre, quoi. Donc j'espère que vous êtes prêts. Je suis désolé pour ce petit problème. C'est relou, on a perdu 30 minutes de gameplay. Mais voilà, quoi. Allez, c'est parti. Donc en fait, on est rentré. Voici le bureau. Voilà. Déjà, vous entendez la musique, c'est pas hyper rassurant. Allez, c'est parti. On va découvrir un peu les alentours.
Your office is rather Puritan. Simple, I mean.
Ain't that the truth?
Well, yes. I can't let my mind wander
Docteur Quetzal,
from my
voilà.
work. I only keep what's essential in my office.
I see. That makes sense.
Ok.
Is this cell like the others?
I would rather call it a room. But yes, it's like all the others, except there are even bigger ones than this.
Voilà, en fait, et aussi il faut savoir que la vidéo s'est coupée, mon tournage s'est coupé à ce moment-là, quand j'ai posé la question par rapport à la fenêtre. Donc je ne sais pas plus de choses que vous.
Why do you have bars on your windows?
Because it's a room like all the others, and I'm just an animal too, like all our residents.
Il fait flipper le serpent
With
comme
the
nom.
significant difference of you being a doctor and not a patient. Am I right?
It's not as big
con,
of a
Marty.
difference as you'd think.
Et le bureau.
An isle of reason in a sea of insanity.
Insanity is such a strong word, and it's mostly an abstract idea. Where does insanity start, and how long is one not insane? Interesting questions. Am I normal, or are you? Maybe neither of us.
You see, that's something
Yes.
I think about a lot nowadays.
If you like, I can give you an appointment.
Oh, this is your chance, Sonny. Don't miss it. We're already here.
Marty, cluck up.
Allez, maintenant, juste pour l'observer.
A snake. I can't help it, but they make my feathers stand on end.
C'est vrai qu'il a... Je sais pas si ça... Il pourrait être méchant, lui. C'est une bonne question. En tout cas, il a une dégaine de méchant.
To be honest, gentlemen, your visit is anything but a surprise. I could even say I was expecting it.
What an introduction.
Please forgive me. I have the bad habit of immediately getting into the middle of things. How very rude of me. My name is Dr. Quetzalcoatl, but most call me Dr. Quetzal to keep it simple.
The name is Santino Featherland, and this is my partner, Martin McChicken, from
From the predatory division of the Clawville Police Department. Your fame is one step ahead of you.
We're used to it.
Certainly.
We have some questions about one of your patients, if you don't mind. We'd like to talk to him, if that's possible.
Bien joué.
Please be specific, detective.
Look, Doctor, we're too tired to play cat and mouse. Not that snake and chicken sounds any better.
Very funny, I must say. Just what I expected from you two detectives.
We know you know it's about Albert Wessler. Ibn Wessler's
Albert,
secret
et non
twins.
Alex.
Ever since we've said his name, all the doors have miraculously opened. That's what we call a bullseye.
Well, yes. Why should I deny it? We're talking about a rather illustrious patient here, who's also a very particular medical case.
Now, that's much more interesting. So, are you willing to talk about him?
Because Albert, regrettably, has disappeared, and you are police detectives, I have no reason not to talk to you. Of course, I'm at your service.
Pourquoi il regarde sa montre?
But you must understand, I can't disclose information about my patients.
Not even if it's a matter of life and death?
Everything's a matter of life and death in here, detective. This is a hospital, even if it's primarily for the mind, not the body.
Still, I'd like to give the impossible a try.
Please, detective, just do your job, and I'll do mine.
Bon, il a l'air trop chiant à ne pas donner d'informations. Donc si on regarde dans notre carnet, juste pour vous montrer la girafe, voilà, ça s'est mis à jour. Donc c'est Miranda, l'infirmière, pleine de vie, pleine d'espoir, pleine de quasiment tout d'ailleurs. Et c'était une énorme fan de notre duo malheureusement. Une infirmière d'une gentillesse inouïe qu'on a rencontrée à la réception de l'asile. Elle s'appelle Miranda et c'est une si grande fan des inspecteurs poulets que ça en devient gênant. Et du coup, concernant Docteur Sessus, pit en vert, mâle, froid, distant, professionnel, et il me fout les jetons. Et à moi aussi. Le professeur est un génie universel, scientifique, écrivain, philosophe, et que sais-je d'autre. Ok. C'est parti pour l'interviewer. L'asile de fous, Madame Zeiwas, Albert Tradus Wessler. C'est parti pour le questionner sur Albert.
How long was Albert a resident of the institution?
For quite some time, his first symptoms surfaced in his teens. Depression, panic attacks, and schizophrenia.
Oh là
Was
là.
he brought here immediately after the first signs that something wasn't right?
You know, the biggest problem with an opinion on insanity is that animals are ashamed of it. That's the reason our institution stands out here in the middle of nowhere.
Because animals would rather hide what they're afraid to face.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
As far as I know, the Wessler family wasn't exceptionally wealthy.
Indeed, they were rather poor, but we offer our services gratis.
C'est gratuit chez eux?
And how do you sustain yourselves?
By the grace of the treasury of King Hector III, of course.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
My family and the royal dynasty had always been on good terms, Mr. Santino.
C'est très étrange. Mais bon, je sais pas si ça rentre dans l'affaire, mais sinon, ça les regarde que eux. J'en ai rien à faire. L'asile de fous, parle-nous-en un petit peu.
What kind of a place is this exactly? I assume it wasn't built as an insane asylum.
It used to be a mansion. Construction started during the occupation in 622. Then it stood empty for almost a century, until finally it went to the crown of Cloville when Hector's great-grandfather took the throne. The rest is history.
How long have you been working here?
I've worked here for more than 30 years, but it's been in my family's possession for almost 150 years.
Si j'ai mis de son accent.
So if I count correctly, as soon as it went to the crown, it was seized by your family.
That's almost accurate, Mr. Featherland.
What a lovely inheritance.
Et concernant Madame Zaewas, parce que c'est un reptile comme vous, mon cher docteur Quetzal.
Tell me, Doctor, do you know Madame Zaewas?
Just like everybody else, I've heard of her, but I never had the pleasure of meeting her in person. I'm sure she's an interesting case.
Oh, you can be sure about that. I'd gladly get you two together if I had the chance. A spare cell would suit her very much.
Is that so?
As it turns out, she likes small, narrow, secret places.
Oh, I see. What a coincidence.
Bon, on a eu un petit peu, à peu près tout. Juste avant ça, on va checker le carnet. Qu'est-ce qu'il a à nous dire? La famille du professeur dirige cet établissement psychiatrique depuis plus de 100 ans. Sacré héritage, non? Au final, on s'en tamponne un petit peu. Juste le CDEX. Ok. Allez, c'est parti.
Dr. Quetzal's a real mystery. But I can turn that to my advantage. I just need to focus on the strangest pieces of the puzzle.
Oh là 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 là. Alors, quand Albert est-il devenu patient ici?
So when did Albert become a resident of your institute?
Albert and Hobart, or Ibn as you call him, arrived here almost exactly 4 years ago.
Could you describe that day more specifically?
It was not like maybe the first week of the year, if I'm not mistaken. It was sleeting that day. Wind was banging incessantly on the windows. The power was going out for short periods of time.
What was your first impression of them?
I already knew the Wessler name. I knew who they were. Or at least I knew one of them, Hobart Wessler. He was famous. Gangster, moneylender, celebrity, lover.
And Albert?
He was new to me, an invisible grey ghost. The family had tried to keep his existence a
Mais pourquoi?
secret.
C'est étrange ça.
Why?
Because they were ashamed of him, of course, Mr. Featherland. That's how it usually is.
What was your first impression of him?
He was silent, but observed everything that surrounded him. His eyes were constantly moving, never stopped for a second.
Was he afraid?
I wouldn't say so. It seemed to me that he wanted to move into our institution
c'est glauque.
voluntarily. It looked as if he couldn't wait to be here, alone, locked up in silence and darkness.
Didn't you think of that as unusual?
Of course I did, but who am I to judge? It was rather special treatment.
Ouais, parce que comment il a pu faire pour s'échapper, sachant qu'il y a des... Si on regarde là, il y a des barrières au niveau des vitres. Comment il a pu s'échapper? Dites-moi, Ben Wessler vous aurait-il menacé de quelque façon? Quel genre de traitement?
Tell me, did Ibn Wessler threaten you in any way?
Oh, he didn't really need to make threats. It wasn't in question. Of course we would treat his brother.
You seem like a professional authority, Doctor. One who is above these power plays. Then why?
First of all, because he's a Wessler. You don't say no to a Wessler. My vocation may come first, but the will to live is even more critical. We reptiles are survivors. On the other hand, I considered Albert to be a very interesting case.
Eh ben, j'ai reculé. Quel était son rapport avec vous? Vous pensez qu'il était une menace pour les autres? Comment avez-vous perçu Albert la première fois que vous l'avez rencontré? Quels étaient exactement les symptômes de la maladie d'Albert? Je dirais la deuxième, parce que les deux dernières, on a déjà à peu près la réponse. Quel était son rapport avec vous? Ça, on s'en fout en fait, parce que son rapport, c'est professionnel.
Do you think he was a threat to others?
He didn't seem like that at first. He was fragile, frail, overwrought. I would have labeled him as a threat to himself, but not to others.
And later, when you came to know him better?
Albert had certain seizures. We found that out quite soon in that surprisingly cold winter. During those times, his personality distorted. He became almost someone else entirely, almost unrecognizable.
Oh là 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 là. Elles sont en train de me dire qu'Albert avait plusieurs personnalités. Cette maladie, ça me fait trop peur, moi. Vraiment, c'est... Enfin bref.
Are you telling me Albert had multiple personalities?
We found out very quickly that there was no other reason for the cause of his seizures. He had a cold and calculating personality who sometimes, especially on stormy days, took the reins over their shared mind.
He had these seizures from the beginning.
Yes, Mr. Featherland, but they started to intensify after Albert left our institution for the first time.
He did what? Left the institution? More than once?
Oh, yes, Mr. Featherland. Albert left the institution on several occasions
Mais il s'est fait tuer.
when he failed to come back.
Quetzal's not only very observant, but he's addicted to details. I must focus on that if I want to get closer to the truth. Focus. Addicted to details.
Ok. Vous me cachez des choses, je me trompe. Alors Albert pouvait entrer et sortir comme bon lui semblait. Comment avez-vous pu laisser Albert quitter cet endroit? Quand et pourquoi Albert a-t-il quitté l'hôtel pour la première fois? On s'en fout de la dernière, de la première également. Albert pouvait entrer et sortir... Après, il est très pointilleux, donc c'est une question qui doit être plutôt pointilleuse.
When and why did Albert leave the institution for the first time?
C'est la plus
It was
technique.
about 2 years ago. Mr. Hobart Wessler appeared and demanded we let his brother go free. Naturally, we obliged. We had no idea if we'd ever see him again.
But you did.
He returned the same day. Albert was ecstatic. He was unrestrained. I could almost say happy.
That was unusual for him?
I had never seen him like that before, Mr. Featherland. He just smiled and stared at the empty wall for hours.
Did he ever tell you what happened to him outside?
Of course he did. Albert and I had a good relationship. He was working on a painting for his brother.
Was it a painting of a lovely lady cat?
Oh, exactly. So you
Oh, la
already
vache.
knew about that.
Yes, Dr. Quetzal, I've seen it.
Oh punaise. Oh punaise, je l'ai. Les amis, je l'ai. Le tableau. On a un morceau du tableau de cette peinture. Oh là là, ça me fait des frissons. En fait, ça veut dire que... je suis sûr il y a une histoire d'amour entre Natacha et Albert. C'est sûr. C'est pour ça qu'il est parti, qu'il est jamais revenu. Oh là 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 là, ok. Excusez-moi, je suis un peu dans mes esprits là à réfléchir à cette histoire. Ok, donc, Albert vous a-t-il parlé de sa relation avec son frère? Albert vous a-t-il déjà parlé de Natacha? Donc Albert est parti de nombreuses fois pour continuer de travailler sur le tableau. Albert vous a-t-il déjà dit comment il se sentait à propos de ce tableau? La dernière me paraît plutôt intéressante.
Did Albert tell you how he felt about the painting?
From the first moment he loved it. He was fascinated by it. But who could blame him? A little diversity, fresh air, a beautiful lady, and of course, on top of all that, he could finally do what he loved best. Paint.
Which could be a surprisingly effective therapy.
It could have been. Unfortunately, these excursions have greatly intensified his seizures. They have become more frequent and extreme.
Donc Albert est parti de nombreuses fois pour travailler sur le tableau.
So Albert left on many occasions to continue working on the painting.
Exactly, Mr. Featherland. Every time he came back, he was like a different person. But unfortunately, his seizures also multiplied and became more dangerous.
More dangerous?
Albert was hurting himself. And on one occasion, he even tried to hurt me. It was unprecedented.
Oh là là, ouais.
It seemed his confined personality was taking over their shared mind entirely, piece by piece.
Do you think the painting caused it?
Not the painting, Mr. Featherland.
Natacha, c'est sûr,
But
Natacha.
its subject.
Exactly. He was obsessed, right until that fateful day when he returned to us for the last time.
What exactly happened that day, Doctor?
It wasn't Hobart who brought his brother back that day, but two of his gorillas. Not literally, I mean. And Albert was in a terrible, terrible state.
What
Okay.
happened to him?
I don't like to talk about that, Mr. Featherland.
It could be vital to the case, Dr. Quetzal. Don't back down.
Oh, you're right. There's no use turning back now. So, Albert's tongue was torn out.
What the
Or
fuck?
cut off, I don't know exactly. And he was blinded in one eye. Or rather, one of his eyes was missing entirely.
So you're saying Albert was brought back horribly mutilated?
Yes. And they didn't give any explanation as to what had happened. They simply told
Ah
me
non,
it
c'est
was
pas possible.
some kind of accident. accident.
Dr. Quetzal is cold and professional, but he's also very confused. Maybe it's cruel, but I must exploit his vulnerability if I want to learn everything about Albert. Focus, confused.
Oh la vache. Les deux gars qui ont ramené Albert, vous pourriez me les décrire? Vous n'avez pas pensé qu'Albert avait eu un accident? Si. Je comprends que ça puisse être difficile pour vous d'en parler, mais avez-vous examiné ses blessures avec attention? Allez, la question, la deuxième, me paraît la mieux.
You didn't believe Albert had an accident, is that right?
Of course not. I'm not naive. I knew immediately that Albert had been severely battered, and I was sure it had been his brother, Hobart.
Well, we don't know that, Dr. Quetzal.
Would you defend a monster?
Take it easy, Doc. One of the most critical elements of my job is not to make assumptions.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Featherland. I'm sorry I got carried away.
It's all right. Happens to everyone.
Oh merde, j'ai perdu 20 points. Dans quel état se trouve Albert après l'incident?
Pull yourself together, Doctor. What was Albert's condition after the incident?
Mind your tone, Detective.
Sorry, Doc, but I can see you're disturbed by these memories.
How could I not be? I'm not a monster. We're talking about a mutilated animal.
Bon, je chie un peu mon interview, hein.
So, what was he like after the incident?
Even more silent than ever. No surprise, I suppose. He was not only silent in words, but also in his soul and spirit.
What do you mean by that?
He never painted anything again, and his seizures completely stopped.
Bon, j'ai vraiment chié dans le pot. Que s'était passé ensuite? Comment Albert a-t-il
What
disparu?
happened then? How did Albert disappear?
A few weeks later, Hobart came to visit Albert one more time. Albert had been in terrible condition by then. We even had to transfer him to another cell, a more safe one.
What did Hobart do during the visit?
He didn't do anything. He just sat and watched his brother, who was in an almost vegetative state by then.
Couldn't you manage to draw anything out of him? You or Hobart?
Nothing. For a while he was trying to signal something. Perhaps he was too afraid. And most likely his fingers had been broken too, so he couldn't even write.
Do you think Hobart could have killed Albert?
It's horrible to say it, but I'm sure of it.
How did he disappear in the end? Did someone come for him?
That's what's most eerie about it all, Mr. Featherland. He simply disappeared. His door,
Il a été
which
emporté,
only
c'est sûr.
I had a key for, was open.
Did anyone see anything?
No one. We interrogated the staff, even the patients. He simply vanished off the face of the wilderness. We don't know what happened to him.
Unfortunately, I have a hunch. Thank you, Doctor. You've been a great help.
Oh la vache.
I'm glad
En
I
vrai,
could
c'est
be of
horrible.
help. But please, I now must attend to my work.
T'inquiète, je
We
comprends.
understand, Doctor. Thank you.
Poulet rôti. Oh, j'ai vraiment fait de la merde. J'ai posé des questions qu'il fallait pas. J'ai perdu 25 points. Bon, c'est pas grave. Pas mauvais, pas bon non plus, pas mal pour un bleu, mais tu peux faire mieux. Reprends-toi la prochaine fois et sois attentif à tous les signes. Concentre-toi, Sonny. Albert Wessler a disparu. On a bien une idée de ce qui a pu lui arriver. Et bah, ça fait froid dans le dos quand même, hein, la situation. Indice. Donc Albert Wessler a disparu, on a bien une idée de ce qui a pu lui arriver. Il est froid, réservé, impitoyable, mais ce qui est arrivé à Albert ne l'a pas laissé de marbre. C'est pas surprenant, je crois. Oh, c'est tellement horrible. Le frère d'Albert IBN l'a fait sortir de l'asile plusieurs fois pour aller peindre ce tableau fatidique de Natacha. Je crois que nous avons un mobile, messieurs. Oh la vache.
That's quite shocking information.
I think you understand why we kept it a secret. If it wasn't for Mr. Wessler's demand, we'd never let any of our patients walk freely outside our institution.
Then the accident happened.
Accident? Ha! We didn't believe it, not for a second. After Albert came back to us, horribly mutilated, he was different.
Different how?
If someone got one of his eyes poked out and his tongue torn out, he'd be different, but not like this. Albert was a different person.
We believe you, Doctor. So, can we take a look at Albert's cell?
I'd rather call it his room. Mr. Wessler lived in exceptional circumstances.
Thanks to the Wessler name, I guess.
Yes. Well, we try to make all of our patients stay as comfortable as possible, but Albert certainly enjoyed special favoritism.
I hope you don't mind if we take a look around in there.
Ok, donc ouais, c'est bonne idée de jeter un coup d'œil à la cellule.
Not going to bother anyone.
Well, that's surprising.
I've never seen a cell like this before, that's for sure. I wouldn't mind living here myself.
It seems that being a Wessler gets you privileges.
And a healthy dose of danger.
Mostly that, yeah. Let's take a good look around. I'm sure we'll find some answers here. I can almost smell them.
Well, I smell paint, ink, plaster, some kind of oil, aging paper, slight smell of rat, and great expectations.
What the dickens?
Unmistakable. Yeah.
This place is bad for you, pal. But if you've already jump-started your beak holes, then sniff out the solution.
I'm on it, boss bird.
Oh la vache. Moi aussi, mais dans les asiles, j'espère que les chambres sont pas comme ça, parce que... Oh mon dieu, ça fout un peu les chocottes, hein. Bon, par où commencer? Secrétaire, lit chic, tableau, fresque glauque, petite fenêtre.
A small window, a small hope.
Tu l'as dit, Bouffi. Ok. Il y a pas mal d'informations sur la table. On va peut-être passer, on va faire ça après. Lit chic.
You know, I don't think he had it so bad in here.
You mean apart from being separated from everyone you love in an ancient mansion filled with madmen?
You're right.
As always.
What?
The style. It's very familiar to me.
You've been lonely for far too long, huh?
Not funny, Marty.
It is, a little.
Ok. La fresque glauque, c'est parti.
No way! Is this some kind of puzzle?
I don't think so. But we could still find something important here. A pattern, a sign, anything.
Bah déjà là on a le chat, on a Natacha. Oups. On a des yeux qui voient. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. La police. Ici. On a le chat, Natacha, c'est sûr. On a un oiseau. Plein d'œil. Deux yeux, pardon. On a une croix juive. Un, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. On a combien d'œils? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Il y a beaucoup trop. Il y a écrit moi. On va revenir là-dessus plus tard. Secrétaire, photo nourricière.
Identical twins. And looking at it, they may have easily loved the same woman. 2 men and 1 woman. Nothing good ever comes of that.
Well, I wouldn't say that exactly.
Of all the wild ones, Marty, please, stitch up your beak, okay?
Just use your imagination, old bird.
Look at
Lettre
that.
d'Albert.
A letter.
Ok, on va le lire.
Identical twins. And looking at it, they may have easily... Albert was madly in love with Natasha and would have done anything for her. I'm afraid he did exactly that. Albert was madly in love with Natasha and would have done anything for her. I'm afraid he did exactly that.
Ok, c'est parti pour la traduction. Je sais que je n'existe pas. Je n'existe pas parce que tu ne me vois pas, mais je ne sais pas ce que tu penses. Tu penses à moi, n'est-ce pas? Jamais, non. Je pense à toi chaque day, chaque minute, tout le temps, dans mes rêves. Je suis devenu moi un... Je suis devenu l'un de ceux... Tu sais... Je suis pas hyper chaud en traduction anglaise. Tu sais de qui je pense, n'est-ce pas? Est-ce que tu peux le sentir? Est-ce que tu le sens? Je le sens, moi, de mon côté. Je ne peux pas le retenir en moi pour longtemps. Pardonne-moi, pardonne-moi. S'il te plaît, je suis désolé. Mais je ne peux pas aider. Ok, bah ouais. Mais il faut amoureux d'elle, quoi.
Albert was madly in love with Natasha and would have done anything for her. I'm afraid he did exactly that.
Ok.
What do you make of this?
Apart from the fact the guy was totally insane? I don't know. What should I?
That maybe we've been chasing the wrong person all this time, Marty.
What do you mean?
Everything will be revealed soon.
Why do you have to be so melodramatic all of a sudden?
If I'm right, this'll flip the whole case upside down.
What's that, Sonny? A blurb from some horrible novel?
I just have to think things through before I come to any hasty conclusions, Marty.
Ugh, you're killing me. So, what now? Where to?
Back to Clawville, where we can finally put all the pieces together.
You're driving me crazy. But all right, let's go home.
Ok. Juste, il y a un indice. Bon, ce qui avait dessiné sur le tableau, on n'a rien pu en tirer. Albert est tombé mortellement amoureux de Natacha, c'est pour ça qu'il fallait qu'il meure. Mais après, ça nous dit pas pourquoi il y a des menaces encore.
Oh, I don't believe this. Those two again?
Take him out. My car won't last much longer.
Don't worry, Sonny. I was born to do this.
C'est plutôt easy.
Are you blind or what? Where did you learn to shoot?
Easy, easy.
Whew. Well, that was close.
A little too close for my taste. And it only strengthens my belief. Wessler is desperate. He knows if we survive, he's done for.
Well, come on, what did you work out? Will you tell me already?
Sure. Let's put the picture together, piece by piece.
Parfait.
Let's start from the beginning. So, we got a case.
Reprenons depuis le début, donc on a une affaire. Suspect potentiel. Non, non, non. Ok. Amour fatal. Non. Natacha essaie de nous cacher ce tableau. Natacha voulait qu'on trouve le tableau pour elle. Natacha a tenté de nous montrer le tableau. Natacha devait détruire le tableau pour cacher ce qui était arrivé à Albert Wessler. Je dirais que c'est plutôt la question C
Natasha tried to show us the painting.
pour nous donner la réponse. Ensuite...
And that painting would have shown
ce
us the
tableau
way.
nous aurait montré le chemin qui menait à Eben et Benjamin. Albert a peint Natacha, il a donc vu plusieurs fois. Jusqu'à la cachette d'Albert Wessler que nous n'avons pas encore trouvée, jusqu'au corps d'Albert Wessler qui a mis grâce à Zil vers l'asile où nous pouvons découvrir qu'Albert a été tué par Eben parce qu'il était au courant pour le tableau. Et oui. Ah non.
To Ibn and
Ouais, c'est ça.
Albert Wessler.
Limite, je crois
Albert
qu'ils étaient
painted
amoureux ensemble.
Natasha, so he met her on more than one occasion.
Indice. Amour fatal. Exactement.
Which made Albert
Ce qui a fait qu'Albert s'est échappé de l'asile pour vivre, tel un fou, dans la forêt sombre qui l'entoure de lui. Bien sûr. Il est tombé amoureux de Natacha et s'est échappé de l'asile pour se cacher dans un secret que nous devons trouver. Il est tombé amoureux de Natacha et une nuit il a tué son frère et pris secrètement sa place afin de courir le cœur de Natacha. A tué son frère pour rendre sa place et a forcé Natacha à créer l'affaire avec les menaces. Oh! Mais si ça se trouve, c'est l'ancien!
fall in love with Natasha. And on
Excellent!
a fateful night, he killed his brother so he could take
Excellent,
his
j'y avais
place
pas
in
pensé à ça.
secret and win Natasha's heart.
Mais c'est sûr! En fait, IBN, c'est celui qui s'est fait tuer. C'est sûr!
So what happens now?
The inevitable, Marty. We're going to the Wessler mansion to confront Ibn with the facts.
You mean Albert, right?
Yeah, exactly. And of course, Natasha.
Do you think she knew about it?
Something stinks, Marty. The whole case seems too intricate.
Too many coincidences, right?
Well, well, after 10 years, you did learn something, didn't you?
9.
You're right.
Huh.
What?
You just laughed, Sonny.
What? No, I snorted.
No, you laughed.
Ah, just leave it, Marty.
I'll be telling this to my grandchicks.
All right, pal, that's enough.
Okay.
En tout cas, l'histoire, elle est vraiment trop bien. Je suis très fan.
Albert fell madly in love with Natasha and decided to have her for himself.
And his best chance was to trade places with Ibn Wessler.
So that's why the torn out tongue.
Effectivement, ouais.
Ibn couldn't squeal even if he wanted to.
What a diabolical plan.
More like insane.
But why the messages then? Why the threats? Albert got what he wanted. He could have got away with it.
I'm not a psychologist, Marty, but remember what the doctor told us. Albert has a seriously injured mind and a split personality. I think his two identities
C'est la méchante
were
personnalité qui a
at
pris
war
la
with each
place.
other.
So the messages were written by one of his personalities, consumed by jealousy?
Something like that, Marty. But we can only learn the whole truth from him.
You're right. So, are we going or what?
We're going, Marty, to finally finish what we started.
Well, if there's anything you'd like to do before, do it now, boss. You won't have a chance later.
You're right, Marty. It's time to wrap everything up.
Ok. Si on check tout ça, IBN a probablement été tué son propre frère, Albert Wessler, et a demandé à Zip de se débarrasser du corps. C'est ce qui me semble le plus plausible pour l'instant. Mais en fait, non. Il s'est fait tuer par Albert. Albert et Ibn Wessler se foutent après la place de son frère et tentent de régler les derniers détails. Si on l'attrape pas maintenant, il sera peut-être trop tard. Qu'est-ce qu'il nous veut, Lewis?
Hey, Lewis. You weren't awake all night because of us, were you?
I've never been this excited, Sonny. Seriously, it is a great honor to be part of the team. What is it?
You, Lewis. You don't stutter anymore.
What?
Just now, you didn't stutter. Not even a little.
Oh. I must be exhausted. It happens sometimes.
And it's back.
So,
Oh, le salaud.
thanks again, Lewis. You always get us out of trouble.
Come on, boys. Don't even mention it. It is me who is grateful to be a part of an adventure of the chicken police.
Maybe the last one, too.
Hey, Sonny.
Il aimerait qu'on perde quelques plumes.
So
Hein.
cute.
Pardon?
Nothing.
Ok.
Did you forget anything, Sonny?
No, I just thought I'd take a look. Might be the last time I see it.
You becoming sentimental?
Who knows? Maybe I am.
Oh, that's cute.
Bon les amis, ce qu'on va faire, c'est qu'on va arrêter l'épisode aujourd'hui. On a bien avancé. Et je pense que la prochaine fois, ça va être l'épisode final ou la résolution de l'enquête. Et peut-être que ça va se terminer en drama. Donc j'ai hâte de faire tout ça avec vous. Donc sur ce, je vais vous faire des gros bisous. Et je vous dis à très vite. Allez, ciao.